What's up, guys? Welcome back to the garage. In this video we're going to be modifying a stock CRV drive shaft with 1310 yokes and U-joints, and I'm also going to be adding a billet carrier bearing in a wefshitup one. But on the last video I got the fuel cell all enclosed in with the diff and everything. I can show you that again one more time. If you didn't check that out, you should go back and check that out. But I got it all nice and painted now with clear or glossy white paint. But here's the drive shaft. I actually wanted to film all of this, but I ended up going ahead and doing a little work on this already. As I'm sure you can see, a piece cut off and it's separated already, but I really wanted to make sure that this was going to be even possible because I've never done anything like this. But let me show you what I did here. I basically so the drive shaft is basically connected here, and it has a dang fat fingers hit the button again. So this drive shaft here basically has like a axle CV joint in it, and it slides on there, and then has a C-clip that holds it in, and it slides in there with a bunch of grease, and there's a boot that seals all this, and the carrier bearing rides right there. Well, I had gotten this drive shaft for free from my job because the factory carrier bearing got bent because the person hit a deer. But basically what I did to get all that separated was take off the boot on here, take a boot off here, and there's a clamp here, and then you can slide this out, and the carrier bearing is stuck on here. And basically what I had to do was so the carrier bearing has slides on like this, and then it has this sleeve here that's like a press fit that slides onto here, and basically sandwiches the two in. Well, you're supposed to be able to just hammer this off pretty easily, but the thing was on there, I broke it, but that doesn't really matter. I might weld the piece back on there that I have. But what I had to do was take this bearing separator and kind of slide it around. When this was on here, I had to slide it around this lip and then put it on there finger tight, and then just stood the drive shaft up like this, and on either side I hit it with the hammer, and it ended up coming off pretty easily. I was beating on this thing forever with screwdrivers and stuff until I finally decided to try this, and it came off in like 4 or 5 hits. So if you guys are going to do something like this, I would recommend using a bearing separator. It's much nicer. But my other issue that I have with this is, so this is the new boot that I would put on when it's all assembled. We're going to go back together. And this is the wefshitup carrier bearing. But it has a replacement bearing in here. And my issue is this bearing right here is too big, because this is usually meant to be on aftermarket, drive shafts, and I'm just trying to save some money here. I was planning on doing a custom drive shaft, but they can cost upwards of like $1,000 with a slip yoke and stuff. And I just had all of this stuff, and I had already bought the 1310 joints and stuff, and I figured, what the hell, I'm going to try it. So I have one of these coming from the Jungle website. The only issue with that one is it's 3 millimeters thicker, so I might have to shave off 3 millimeters on this lip right here to be able to sandwich it back in there fine, but that's no big deal. But if you guys want, I think I have the part. I don't have the part number for this guy, but I just got this on eBay. And then I have 2 of these yokes and 2 of these yokes, and these are the part numbers. One's a weld on, and then one is a direct bolt on to the end track or CRV type diff, and the other end is the same basically, and it goes up to the transfer case, so there will be no adapter plates or anything. And I think I have some bolts in here. Yep, I do. And basically I have Honda bolts because you want to put a shouldered bolt in there because it centers everything, and you just takes less stress off the bolts and stuff, because I've heard guys snap drive shaft bolts and stuff. Actually, here's one of the yokes. This is the weld on one, and then here is the other end that would bolt right up. And then I do have 1310 joints also, or U-joints, and I think that's the part number. There you go. Take a look at that. Yep, right there. Okay. So what I need to do now is I ended up making sure that, so this is 2.5 inches round, and then this right here is 2.3 inches. I cut this in my chop saw just to make sure that this was going to be possible, and it is. So what I did was this next down, I cut it right at the where it's goes to 2.5 inches, so I can slide this on. And then on this end, I need to remeasure it, but I'm pretty sure I need to cut it like right here, or maybe right before. But if I need to do right before, I plan on welding this because this is a fusion weld, and I've heard they're not very strong, and I plan on MIG welding these fusion welds also, this one and this one, just for extra strength. I am a little worried that this might break in here, but I've seen guys use stock CRV drive shafts and run 10 seconds with them, 500 horsepower, and I don't really plan on doing much. I don't really plan on doing too much launching and stuff like that. Of course, yeah, I'm gonna launch the car a few times to see what it does, but I think I'm gonna try and do more track racing with this and just, you know, just have fun with it on the street. It's gonna be a daily driver street car whenever I want to take it out. But what I think I'm gonna do now is I had to buy this pipe spreader. That's not your normal pipe spreader, I guess you could say. It has these, it splits them by like 4 to give it a little even, instead of like the ones that have like 8 on them. So I just got this from the Jungle website today, and I'm hoping my bearing comes from the Jungle website too, and I can show you that. But what I needed that for is this pipe is about 2.3 inches, and so is that yoke, and so I don't want to butt this up. So what I need to do is assemble the yokes, and I think I'm going to tack that one in, and then I need to assemble the yokes on both ends, and then set the drive shaft up and measure everything to make sure it's all good, so I can cut the correct amount off of this end. But yeah, let's get to work. Shoot. Well, I got this all cleaned off, and I actually decided not to fully put this one in. I'm just going to slide it in and put the yoke in. I'm going to just tack this in for now, just to make sure I get the length correct, and then, yeah. So let me tack this up now. Tacked up in 4 spots. It's all pretty, it's definitely even there. So, should be good to go. All right, well, the measurements that I had gotten are 77 and 11/16 from yoke to yoke on the car. And I needed to take 3 and 13/16 off. And with this yoke on there, so you can see we're butted up down there. And we have, well, I did have the triangle squaring it off there. But anyways, it's about, if you look, I don't know if you can tell, but it's about 79 and 7/8. So I'm going to take 2 1/8 off. And this gives you play. I have this about in the middle, so it'll give me the 1/16 or a 1/4 inch play if I need it, but it really will end up just being 1/16. But what I'm going to do now is mark here over. Oh, sorry. Gonna mark from this line over because this slides in. And then I'm going to measure 2 and 1/8 and chop it off. Anybody know that there was cardboard inside of drive shafts? Wonder what the hell that's for. Okay, well normally this is supposed to have another sleeve that goes around this one and it expands them both, but in that kit there, none of them fit. The only thing that fits really is this, so put a little grease on there, and we're just gonna do, I think, this first lip here, because that's really all we need. And hopes that this works. So I'm gonna actually try and heat this up to help the metal stretch a little bit. None of this may work, but we're gonna give it a shot. I may just have to buy a new pipe and put that in there, you know. All right, let's try this. Hiya. Wish me luck. Sizzled my finger off. Holy shit. Look at that. That fucking hurt. That's gonna hurt, I should say, because it doesn't hurt now. Almost get that one. All right, well, you get the idea. I'm going to continue to try and do this, and if it works, I'll show you what it looks like. Because I'm really not sure that this is going to work. I may have to cut this all off and make my own pipe. All right, well, it really worked. I mean, really heating the metal, the drive shaft like that might have weakened it. But, I mean, it worked, so we're going to send it and see what happens. I mean, I do plan on building some, because this is the side that's on the transmission, so if this breaks, you know, it could catapult the car, but I do plan on... Ooh, that's still hot! I plan on putting a drive shaft loop around it somewhere, either attached to the subframe. I'm going to do something, because I don't want to have this potentially break and catapult me, so yeah. Definitely going to do some safety with this drive shaft here, but now I'm going to... I don't even think I'm going to tack that, because it is slammed in there real hard. I'm going to re-put these shafts back together and then measure it, and if it measures out okay, I might fully weld it up, or I might try and set it in the car. Either way, I'll measure it and I'll show you and then tell you what I'm gonna do then. So I got it. Square it up right there. And with this pretty much in the right area, you can tell it's about 77, and it might be 11/16. It's pretty dang close. Pretty happy with that. Really surprised this is actually kind of working. So I think just because I have the play in there, I think I might just send it and weld it. I think the reason I didn't put these together yet is I didn't want to weld the yokes on with the U-joints in there, because I don't want to cook the grease in there. So what I'm going to do is I just have them set in there. I'm going to take them off, and then I'm going to fully weld both ends of the shafts. And then I'm going to get some axle grease from AutoZone and shove some in, probably clean out all the old shit and shove in some new stuff, and then put it all together. And I'm still waiting for the Jungle website to come. They're supposed to deliver my bearing here for the center there, but once that comes in, which I might have to wait till tomorrow, but once that comes in, I'll put it all together, and I'll show you all that. Actually video it, putting it all together, so you can see how it goes together, and then we'll put it in the car. And if it goes good in the car, then I'll send it to the drive shaft shop to get it balanced. And if it gets balanced, fingers crossed that it actually works, because I've never done anything like this. But yeah, so I'm gonna do all that, and once I get my bearing, we'll start back up. Also, if you need a decent pipe spreader kit, I guess that is the part number. I got it off Amazon, but it actually worked pretty good. The little black inserts I was able to use to stretch it, and then I used one of these silver ones, and it really spread it pretty decent. So I would highly recommend that. $65. Okay, well, I got the shafts welded, and I welded the, let me show you. Welded the yoke on there and I painted it. These welds actually came out pretty good. These welds, not so much. This is where the fusion weld was, and there were like two, I don't know, lips put together, and it's really hard to get all the paint and contamination out of there, so you know, it kind of looks like a booger weld, but it's definitely penetrated and got a bunch of heat in it. But as I got this piece right here, this is the carrier bearing, and it slides on onto there. It's supposed to ride on this section right here, and there's a bearing there. Goes on and fits right there. Well, this is a wefshitup carrier bearing. Comes assembled like this with another bearing in it, but the bearing that it came with is not big enough for this because they're supposed to be meant for like wagon drive shafts and stuff like that. So I went on Amazon last night and I found this bearing. Well, I thought I had the box, but I must have thrown it out. But basically it's 52 by 25 by 15, and I could not find one that was 12. The old bearing is 12 thickness and this is 15. So my problem with that is the bearing is too tall to fit in here, so the cap doesn't fit flush there. So what I need to do is grind down pretty much almost this whole lip here, which I'm going to do on the belt sander. And it has this shim that normally would go in there that I think I may run with it. I'm not sure. I may not. The surface area to this shim and this lip is pretty close on like where it touches in the bearing, but I may run this just to give it more surface area to press down on the bearing. But I'm going to grind this down and fit it up. It'll probably be a sped up process of this, but once this is all done and bolted on, we'll get this pressed on here, because this is a snug fit, because this is 25 and this is 25, so it's really like a press fit. And then we will press the collar on that holds this all on. I need to change my belt. So I'm gonna change the belt and then regrind all this. And I'll show you what I got. Alright, try this again. Got a real spicy belt on there. Alright, well I got it all grinded flat and I decided to leave the washer in there so you can see it gives it quite a bit, not quite a bit, but just a little bit more, and I had to almost grind it all the way off and it's pretty much flush. There's pretty much basically the lip left and I'm okay with it sitting flush or not flush. It's like almost there. It's perfect. So now I'm going to assemble the drive shaft. We'll put that together and then I have to hammer it on. I have to hammer it on to that lip right there because it's a really tight fit. And then we'll put the U-joint in, you know, in the CV there. And we'll put some grease all in, and I'm gonna do it all right there, and I'll set the camera up. And okay, I'm gonna put the bearing on, and I decided I'm gonna put these, the cover in, because to try and, when this sleeve is pressed on here also, to try and hit this off, it's pretty well on there, so I'd like some meat behind it if I ever have to remove this to replace the bearing. But I'm going to just try and tap this on. Might need to probably be better. Oh, that's actually going on. Okay, it's on there, and then this gets pressed onto there, but this I'll get a socket for. Okay. And that's on there. Oops, maybe a better look. That's on there. I decided to just leave that. It's not going to harm anything, but it's all seated up there nice. Spins nice. Pretty excited. This should work out. I was really skeptical if any of this was going to work out. I mean, yeah, it's not proven. I haven't driven it down the road yet, but it's going together, so that's a plus to me. Okay, now let's put the boot on. So when I originally took this drive shaft apart, I did match it yellow line, and there was a yellow line on here. It's right there, yellow line. To try and match these back up, it really doesn't matter because I'm going to get it balanced again, but I'm just going to put it back together the way it came apart. Yeah. So again, I got this off of Evil Bays, as they say, or as I should say, a guy says. And I got these clamps off of Amazon a while ago. They're just axle clamps. I got them for when I had to redo the had to weld together the shortened axle and had to take it apart. So this should work for the end here. And yeah, just need to figure out which way this needs to go. Okay, just like that. So you slide that on. There's a C-clip here. Helps if you slide the bearings out on here a little bit. C-clip in the groove. Now I need gloves. So I was going to get some axle grease, but could not find any at AutoZone or anything. And I just said, what the hell, I got caliper grease, pretty much the same fucking shit. And it still has a bunch of grease in there. Just going to add a little bit of new stuff here. Messed something up here. Dun dun dun. I'm supposed to slide that on first, so I gotta redo all that. Yay! Alright, well, once I redo all this, we'll catch back up real quick. I'll snap you back here. Well, I won't be snapping, but you know. Okay, slide this on first. You slide it on. And then you just need to put the clamp on and stake this. Here, well, I think I need to reevaluate that because it's not gonna stake. I may just tack it on there. Okay, so the staking did not work. I staked it a bunch of times. It really just needs a full-on crimp, which I didn't have, so I put 4 tacks on it, and I smeared some Honda Bond around there to fully seal it off. Even though there's an O-ring in there, it's still kind of loose. But now I'm gonna put the clamp on here, and then we can do the U-joints, and then see if it fits in the car. Alright, so I got the U-joints on, or the other yokes with the joints and everything, and now we're going to try and set this in here and see if it fits. We'll find out together. Interesting, I did not even notice this, that I didn't realize the in-track diff here, it doesn't have threads on it. Interesting. I guess I'll have to find some shouldered, longer bolts. Maybe weld some nuts on the end of this. Or just nut and bolter. Okay, well the bolts, the Honda bolts I want to use don't seem to be long enough because I think the flanges are bigger. I can barely get a couple of threads on that one. It's just shy of even touching it right there. Oh, I think I got it. Alright, let's get you in here. So I got vice grips on because, like I mentioned earlier, the flange isn't threaded here, so just got to get longer bolts and some nuts. But it's not bad looking for a homemade drive shaft modification. You know, just gonna have to get out of the light. Just gonna have to maybe get rid of these exhaust hanger thing so I can make a mount right there to mount the viscous. But yeah, I'd spin it, but you know, it's not mounted, but seems like everything's gonna work out pretty good. And this is the way the viscous goes, because it tries to put the drive shaft up as far in as possible. And if I move the what do you call it, I can get this pretty much flush with the body. It can go up maybe a hair more, I think, because I think right now it's the middle theirs are kind of pointing down. But so I'm gonna go take that back out. Today's Saturday, and probably gonna edit this video today or tomorrow and put it out there, so you know, whenever the hell you're watching it. But I'm gonna take it to the drive shaft shop on Monday and get it balanced. So put your guesses down in the comments there if you think it's gonna balance out or not. I'm kind of skeptical, 50-50, first time ever doing anything like this. If the bearing modification wasn't so questionable, if I had to do everything there, I'd probably be pretty confident in it, because the yokes looked like they were pretty flush putting it on. There was no angle to them, so they should be pretty true. But hit the subscribe button if you want to find out how that works out. And I think the next video I'm going to be doing the RSX rear seats, and then hopefully the drive shaft will come back, and after that I'll be doing viscous or the carrier bearing mount, and we'll also be making some drive shaft loops. But yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.